live. Yay.
Yes, we're on.
We're
We're waiting.
on. Yay, yay. So just wait for some folks to come in.
Yep.
I think what I'll do is I will go back to my screen and go back to you. And, because on the Facebook, it's a little bit of a delay. So I'm excited for day 2. And while we're waiting for people to join, I just wanted to say I'm really excited. I just got the phone with Kristen Gerst. She's going to be joining us on our powwow hour. And just a little background, Kristen and I have been friends for a while. And I was talking to her about one of my short-term rentals. And she has actually given me some tips and decorating advices so I can get some more bookings and charge more money. And I was telling her that, it keeps getting booked. So I have to go in there and do all the design and get some new pictures taken. I said, so on one hand, that's good news. But on the other hand, she's like, well, you might be leaving money on the table. So we're actually going to make that a priority this coming up weekend, because the guest checks out on Sunday, and then we're going to go in there and we already know what we need to do, but it has a pool and we want to stage the pool. And unfortunately, when the pictures were taken, and they were taken in January, and it was really cold. And not only that, everything was dead in Texas, right? The grass was brown. There was no leaves on the trees. So I had the photographer go in and just, put some, I guess it was Photoshop, and it literally looks like they poured dye on the grass, right? So it's sad. Now, 2 things. One, yes, pictures. And if you guys saw the post today, I was just doing a little research. I always like to kind of keep myself up to date about what's new and latest with pricing and strategies and things like that. And pictures are definitely, something that grabs the attention of the guest. So I've done it both ways, where I've actually, when I have a new listing, I want to, I haven't the photographer hasn't come yet. So I snap a few photos just off of my phone, right? Not professional, but you know what? Sometimes they look good. And I've uploaded them, and, and I have gotten bookings that way. Now to, do what Kristen is saying is to get even more money, I need to really have a photographer come out there. So that is kind of a tip for your pricing and decorating, is that, depending on when you're launching your short-term rental, you'll want to make sure that you get pictures at that time of the season, right? So one of our other properties that's on the lake, we had it done in, let's say, I guess it would have been in August by the time we got it done and everything. So we have, nice pictures of the lake, and we have pictures of all the trees. There's a lot of trees around this one property. So that makes a big difference, I think.
The real one.
Yeah, the real, like what it really looks like. Yeah. And I would say the same probably if you had a ski chalet or a ski Airbnb, short-term rental, that you would want pictures in the wintertime. I mean, you probably want it both, because I know I love going to the mountains when it's cool out. I just love that in the summertime, and it's almost like you just breathe this fresh air. So.
Yep.
And we're also going to be recapping a few things from yesterday. So when I get into the presentation, but I was also kind of going back over, how people, we talked a lot about location. And one thing I want to add is that when somebody asks me that question, like, where should I buy a short-term rental? I come back and say, you know what, where would you want to go on vacation? Because a lot of times if we think about, where we invest. So I typically invest in things that are, within a couple hours of where I live. Number one, I know the market really well. Number two, it's easier to manage, projects or, I haven't ever invested outside the state yet. I've had opportunity. I just didn't feel that my expertise maybe, that takes a little bit of, like the areas that I want to go to. And one of them is Atlanta, Georgia. However, their market is very similar to Dallas, Fort Worth. It's very it's very hot, meaning that, people are paying
Oh.
crazy amounts over. So it makes it hard to, invest in those kinds of areas. And I do like secondary markets where, in my area, that would be like Wichita Falls or Sherman or something like that. I wouldn't necessarily have a short-term rental in those areas though, because I forget which one of those. I think it's Wichita Falls is close to a base, I'm thinking, or it might be in Oklahoma across the way. So those that are familiar with Wichita Falls, put in the comment. So we have a couple questions, Maya, that we need to ask our people. So I posted in the Facebook about, hey, do we have any ahas? Has anybody put any ahas that they found out yesterday?
Not yet, but we have someone that wanted to know more about decorations and decorating tips.
Okay, well, today is the day. So they need to get logged on here and we'll get going on the decorating and things like that. So, but we still have, it's just a couple minutes after 10. So we'll see where everybody's at and see when we can start. And I will be kind of going back over how to find your competition, because I think that that's really hard for people to figure out, okay, I want to buy a property here, but you have to be careful of saturation, like how many short-term rentals are in a particular area. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get that screen. So while we're waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and share. I have to be careful I don't cut off the live feed.
Yep.
I do it practice sometimes, so we don't want that to happen. And I did look at how you can play music. I just got on a phone call before, right before we got on here, but I think that'll be, I don't know if I can commit to having music on tomorrow's, but I did find a way how to do it. I mean, today we just really found out how to get you on here. You know what I mean? So,
yes.
All right. Can you see my screen? Okay. I have the recap.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
we can have it. I'm seeing it now. Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and get it in presenting mode. Present. There we go. There we go. So, all right. Yeah. So this is the recap I'm going to do from yesterday. And really, I wanted to let people know that because I got a couple of messages about this, that you have to go on the platform Airbnb, to do a search, right? Now you could do the same thing in VRBO, but I like using Airbnb. It has more of the info that I need. So this was just when you go on as a guest, not as a host, but as a guest, then you log on, and then at the top it'll have like, okay, I can search by, property size, for the whole house. I can search by bedrooms. I can search by, pet friendly. And what'll happen, you'll put in an area. So the example I was talking about yesterday, I was like, okay, well, if you wanted to know, you'd put in the area that you wanted to go to, that you were looking to purchase, and you type in, that area, and then you would, something like this would come up, right? And you can see if you click on these dots, like here, the 699, the 277, the 188, that will actually bring you to the property that you're looking at. And if you keep clicking and zooming in, and what you have to do is, this is about the size of the screen that it'll show you. And over here, I believe, is where the plus or minus, it might be down here, but plus or minus, and to make the screen, the map, really zoom in, and you can start seeing the street names. And so what I do is like, okay, I want to know how many, short-term rentals are in an area I'm looking to purchase. So this is one of the first steps that I do when I'm determining exit strategy. And then you could use the filter bar. You can analyze the nightly rates per bed. You can enter dates into the future to see the availability. And then I also like to play around with different dates, because if you put something in, let's say for, let's see, today is May 11th. And if I were to go and look at a property today that I might buy, that I'm thinking of making a short-term rental, and I only looked at, let's say, Memorial Weekend, well, probably a lot of things might be booked because that's a holiday here. It's a 3-day weekend.
Yep.
So I might not see everything. Whereas if I go out, say, middle of June or even September, and I go in the middle of the week, chances are I'm going to see more of those if you try not to do it around a holiday. But then on the other side of that, if you look at holidays, like the holiday weekend, so let's say we found out there were 50 in a particular area, from our due diligence, but then I did type in the dates of Memorial Weekend and I saw there was only 3. So that means those 47 other properties are probably got booked because they're not available. They're not showing up. So what you're only going to see are the properties that are not booked. Now, if I did put in, Memorial Weekend and I saw that all these properties were not booked, it was the same, then that would also give me some information. That information would be, maybe that's not an area people are wanting to book. So you can spend a little bit of time doing this. And then the other platform that you go to is AirDNA. I don't have a slide for it, but that's where you go to get these numbers right here. So there's 2 platforms. One's Airbnb, and that's where you would go to find out who already has, short-term rentals out there on the market. And then AirDNA is where you go to find out what the property you're looking at could potentially make, if that makes sense. So how are we on participants? Do we have anybody on, Mila? Should I just go ahead and are we going to see?
Yeah, we haven't had another additional or someone yet. Maybe they're coming in late.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still on live.
Okay. Well, so
Richard is here already.
Okay. All right. Welcome. Yay.
Welcome. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. And yeah, I want to say thank you to everybody that is, participating, because I know, it's hard to take the time. And that's why we wanted to make sure that everybody got the information and had the ability to watch it. So hello to everybody that's here. And I'm going to go ahead and just jump in because it's 10 after, and I want to make sure that I leave time for any questions, but also we want to make sure that we get off so that we can get back on for our guest speaker later today, Kristen. So we want to make sure we give her, get her on time too. So, all right, Module 2, Day 2, we are going into furnishing and decorating your short-term rental. And the purpose of this is to attract guests. And the more guests you you attract, obviously you can get more bookings. And the more bookings you have, the more money you're going to earn. So we're going to kind of focus on that. So really in the furnishing and decorating, I'm going to be talking about stocking. I'm going to be talking about things that when I first started, I was like, oh, okay, I didn't even think about that. And then things that I've learned along the way. So I'm going to give you kind of my best, Nancy's favorite things. And again, this is how I have moved forward with my short-term rentals, and where I've picked up different things from different people and what works and what guests, because the bottom line, it's not how you like it, it's how your guests like it. So keep that in the back of your mind, because yes, decorating is fun and everything, but if I like purple and black, I'm probably not going to attract a lot of the guests to come. So let's just dive into, the cost and the style are both subjective. So depending on if you have a luxury short-term rental or just a basic short-term rental, it's a lot of it is going to determine, your cost of actually decorating and the type that you're going to decorate. So I can't say like, okay, this is the one, it's not a one size fits all, right? But one of the things I can tell you is if you have time and you can have the ability to shop for deals. So yesterday you all heard Susan talk about her garage is full of stuff because she knows that she's got a short-term rental property coming on the market, probably not till next year. And if you don't know the story, watch the replay from yesterday. So her garage is full of stuff so she has time. So I have a property where I bought everything off of Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. And I had the time because I knew when I was going to close. I already knew it was pretty much turnkey, Craigslist. I have gone to thrift stores to buy end tables that I just, threw a coat of paint on it. I got really cute little end tables for like $10 each. So if you're kind of creative, DIY, you can save tons of money. I get a lot of things off of Amazon and Walmart. One of the things that's a challenge right now are twofold. One, delivery dates, because, I only get in stock items, whether it's furniture, washer dryers, to wait for custom is, you don't know when it's going to come in with all the supply chain. So we're kind of just in a little bit of a different period, if you will, in the economy. And then if you're not at the property, if it's not, who's going to accept the deliveries? How are you going to monitor that? So those are all things you have to kind of think about as you're going forward. And then the style is subjective, because again, it's not a one size fits all, because if you have a lake house, you're probably going to tend to decorate it like a lake house, not a ski lodge, and vice versa. If it's luxury, you're going to have to spend some money on some quality, nice furniture. Now, here's what I can tell you on furniture. Your guests are not going to treat your property like you would. So, the first go round, we went and we bought a whole new house full of furniture, and we bought these chairs. They are super cute. I'm going to show you a picture of them. But the very first thing that happened is one of the legs broke, and I had to take it out, and, it was under warranty and get it all fixed. But, you have to spend some money on furniture that's going to last, right? Now you can buy couches. I saw a pull-out couch for like $2.99 the other day. It's probably not going to be very comfortable, and let's get real, it's probably not going to last that long. So when it comes to sleeping, I'm going to talk more about that with mattresses and things, but also think about who are you targeting, right? Who's your guest audience? Because at the end of the day, it's the guest who's going to rate you by giving you those 5 stars that we all want to earn. So your design, your personal touches, and I'm not talking about your personal knickknacks. I don't have knickknacks just because I don't want them, they collect dust, that kind of thing. I have, I know some people like real plants. I have a few fake plants. Because number one, even if I had them and I don't have a green thumb, so they're going to die anyway. And I would rather see a fake plant than a, half dead plant with brown leaves. And I'm a minimalist. So, I don't like a lot of clutter. I like a clean look. So that's kind of how my style goes. And if you don't, like, some people are just born decorators. They have the color skill and everything. And I'm not so much like that. I mean, I look on Pinterest for inspiration. Actually, my husband, Brian, he's much better. I'm getting better just because I've done it a few times now, but you have to kind of have a color plan, and what I'm saying here is that you should have some kind of consistency throughout your short-term rental. And, pretty much you're going to be doing the wow factor. When they first walk in, it's so funny. I mentioned yesterday that I have Ring cameras on the outside. So I will check, how many people, or do they bring pets or whatever. And I love it when they open the door and they go, oh my gosh, this is so cute. Oh my gosh, I love the way this looks. It's the wow factor that you're looking for. So when in doubt, use what I call the 60-30-10 rule. This is not my rule, it's a decorator rule, but 60%, use neutral colors in the space, in the whole space, 30% a deeper tone of that neutral, and then 10% with a pop of color. Now, when Kristen comes on, she's so good at this. And this is, I asked her, I said, you need to tell people why, what's your inspiration? On theme properties, does it make sense? Now you can go on all kinds of Facebook. There's all kinds of short-term rental Facebooks. And some people, like if they're, they like Star Wars, or they're next to Universal Studios, so they might do a Star Wars theme. Or, I talked about the lady that did the silo, or, there's glamping. So again, it kind of goes back to your target audience. Are you going to target families, or are you going to target couples? So if you have a really romantic getaway, that's how you're going to advertise it, then you're going to decorate it like a romantic getaway. If you have a house that you're wanting families, then you're going to kind of highlight things and decorate it kind of like for kids, right? Play up your amenities in the space, the attractions, provide a unique experience for the guests, and stand up from the competition. So I'm going to talk about, like, okay, well, where do you find all of that? Well, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, you know, as I said in the very beginning, you can go and find your competition and you can click on, you know, all these Airbnb properties, VRBO sites, and you can see how other hosts are decorating. And so you can, you know, some people, I'll look at their pictures like, oh, that's not for me. They'll have very fancy, we're going to talk about coffee bars. So again, I'm a very minimalist person, but you know, some people are really coffee, you know, what's that word? They're like experts in coffee. So they have like a whole, you know, rack of different kinds of coffee mugs and coffee cups and things like that. I think less is better. I think you have to, you know, make the spaces open. And of course, if you're doing like, let's say you're doing a room or in your home, in your personal home, you're trying to rent out a room in your home, you know, you do want to remove, or let's say the house that you're doing a short-term rental, like the one we have, one of them that we have, we use it about half of the time. So, but I don't keep personal items there. I don't keep, you know, pictures of my family or, you know, leave clothes or whatever in the closet. We have an owner closet that's kept locked. So any of my personal stuff goes in there if I keep it. But, you know, we realized that, hey, we can't keep our personal stuff down here. And it, like I said, the guest first impression when they enter is what you're trying to strive for, that when they open that door, you can't really decorate for this, but the smell, you know, how does it smell? Like it should smell clean, not funky and musty, right? And then visually, what does it look like for them? And wow, you know, just it's so refreshing because it makes you feel like, oh, okay, I got it right. You know, I hit it on the head. And especially when people talk about in the reviews, when they talk about the space or they've commented on something that you've done, you know, so I get a lot of comments from our lake house because we did renovate that whole thing, and that we paid attention to every amenity that you might want, or is a lot of what the guests say when they stay at that property. So setting up the space. So now I'm going to kind of get into, yesterday somebody asked about the mattresses. And so I cannot stress here, you need to invest in quality mattresses. So think about this. If a little thing goes wrong, you know, maybe your cleaners didn't get all the dust bunnies underneath the bed, or, you know, maybe it didn't smell as fresh when they walked in, or something's just amiss, or the guest is tired. They're just tired, right? So if something goes wrong in your property and then they have a bad night's sleep on top of it, yeah, they're going to be pretty grouchy guests, and it's going to be really hard to, you know, kind of soothe them over. So we purchase all of our, and there's all different kinds of places, again, personal preference, but I get all of my mattresses from Mattress Firm. I have found that they have some really nice pillow tops, and they usually have some deal going on. So if we had to go in there one day and buy like 8 mattresses. So they gave us a smoking deal. Usually you can get the financing, you know, same as cash for 3 years. So you're using over other people's money. And I love the fact that, you know, I personally buy my mattresses there, and they're just comfortable. They're comfortable. You can get a good night's sleep. So you need to also think about in the bedrooms, how many guests will the space sleep? So I love it when investors go, well, I have a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and they're literally going to cram like 12 people in there. I mean, you could do that. You have 3 bedrooms, one of them you could put bunk beds in, but think about this. You know, again, target audience. So I have a one property that I get a lot of girls away weekend. So you can imagine if I had a property that slept 8, 10, or 12 and only had 1 bathroom, the guests are probably not going to like that too much, right? They're not going to appreciate having 1 bathroom for that many people. So you kind of got to think about, even though you could put 10 people in a 3-bedroom, but it only has 1 bathroom, is that something that the guest experience like that? If you can, I highly recommend you put a king size bed in 1 room when the space allows. Sometimes these properties, or if it's a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom, obviously you're not going to do that. It has to make sense in terms of like the size of the room, because you wouldn't want the bed going, you know, wall to wall, because you've got a king bed in there because there's no room for a lamp or anything like that. But the reason I say that is people do search by bed size. So let's think about this. If someone in your family is like 6'3" or 6'5", or maybe they weigh, you know, 250 pounds, and, queen bed's probably not going to cut it for them. So they look for, properties. And I will tell you, I get, even though it's in my listing, I will get people asking me to clarify how many beds and what size the beds are. So that's a big thing. A big question I get, like, what size are the beds? Even though it clearly says in the listing what size of bed they are, that's something that guests ask a lot of inquiries. If you're going to buy bunk beds, bunk beds are good if you have, you're going for family. Some people like the bunk beds where it's a queen on the bottom and it's a twin on the top. Hey, here's my thing with bunk beds. Liability. I had a set of bunk beds, and then we said, you know what, we don't really want the liability of the kids falling out. One short-term rental I saw, what they did is they had 4 bunk beds in one room, and they anchored them to the wall, so they weren't going anywhere. So for me, if you can't buy really nice quality bunk beds, and there could be a possibility of somebody, here's what I think. Somebody has a little bit too much to drink one night, and they try to crawl up there because maybe they said, oh, look, we can do this, and then they fall. So that's just my thing. That's coming from property management. I just kind of avoid bunk beds. And then trundle beds. And this is so funny. So if you don't know what a trundle bed is, you can look it up on Google. But a trundle bed is a single bed, but it has another bed, if you will, underneath it. So you pull it out, and it makes 2 single beds. And what's really cool about trundle beds is they can actually go, they look like little sofas. You can decorate them up to look, and they're much more comfortable, I feel, than a pull-out sofa. But if you have a couple living room areas or a large living room area, you could literally, use a pull-out sofa that's a double or a queen. And you could also get a trundle bed, and trundle beds are super cute. They're really good for kids' rooms. And remember, they're twin, but I love trundle beds. And it was so funny. I don't know if I'm just dating myself, but I was telling somebody about a trundle bed, and they said, what is that? And they make them really cute. And they sell them at furniture stores. You can also use air mattresses, rollaway cots. I mean, you can get creative if you have the space to accommodate people. If you have people that say, hey, I have a couple more people, you can say, well, we do offer air mattresses, right? So you can play around with the number of people. So if you have a smaller space and you want to, put more people in there. So these are just different things you can do. Dining space equals bed space. So remember, I was talking about that 3-bedroom, 1 bath, putting 10 or 12 people in there. Well, another person that I was teaching about how to set up their short-term rental space is they didn't have room they wanted to put 10 people into the property. It was, but the other problem they had was there wasn't enough room for seating. So this is big. Now, remember, when you're setting up your space, it is about making money. It is about that, but it's also about the guest experience. So think about why, again, goes back to your target audience. Who is coming to your property? Why are they coming? Well, they want to be together. They're spending time together. So if you can't seat, like at a dining table or kitchen table, the number of people you sleep, then that's not going to be a good experience for the guest. So people want to be able to eat together. They want to play games together. So there needs to be a dining space that accommodates for the same number of people that you're sleeping. People want to gather and spend time together. Now, I did some before and after because I thought this would be fun. So this is actually one of my short-term rentals. And so here's what I want to kind of point out here. So when I purchased this property, we got it cleaned out. So this is the way and this is on a lake, right? So, and it's not it's not like right on the lake. It's a lake house. Like at first when I saw it, it's like fisherman's cabin kind of thing, right? No, not high-end neighborhood or anything like that. So what we decided is, and I did the numbers. So I could get, 175 to 200 a night for this property the way it is. All I had to do was furnish it and, clean the carpets up, get that piano out of there. But this property was ready to go. So it was turnkey in the fact that I didn't have to spend a ton of money to get it up and going, right? But you know what? We knew we were going to stay there as well. And so for Nancy, this wasn't going to work. So And if it wasn't going to work for me, it probably wasn't going to work for my target guest. So this is, we renovated the property, and what we did is we took out the carpet and we put in vinyl plank, and we added, this was the house that I went to, Nebraska Furniture Mart, and like went wild. And I, got an area rug, and then see these chairs here, super cute, right? And it, like, you got the couch, the yellow, very cute, but the legs on this, they're like spindles. And yeah, they broke. And so what we ended up having to do is taking one out, which I had to, every time I had a guest, I had to say, hey, there's one chair missing, because we had to go get the legs fixed or whatever. So in this property, this particular chair was the one that broke. We had to, just let people know, hey, it's not there. Now it's all fixed. And we actually had both, the guy that we had fixed the chair actually reinforced both legs. So, and then we Scotch guard everything because we're pet friendly. And then you can see these curtains here. Those are just very sure. Those are one of my favorite things. They really, it's not that they're, if you pull them together, there's shears. They're just lightweight curtains, and all they're doing is adding a little softness. You can see, Mila and I were talking about pictures before, because I have another property that we took the property, we got it listed in January, and everything was dead here in Texas. It was all brown, but see how green this one is? It's all nice and everything. You can see I just have a couple pictures. Now here I did add a picture of a map of the area that we're in. But you can see, like, all I did here on this one was we painted it, we put new floors in, and that's all I did, right, for this property. But the point is that if I had wanted for the first year just to get it up and running, I could have. But here I am making more money. So here I could have gotten probably, around $200 a night. This one gets $300 a night on the low season. Okay. And it goes up to like $400. So that's the difference. And that's why we decided to renovate it. So this is the same property. This just happens to be the dining area, right? And the cabinets and that kind of thing. So what we did is we said, okay, same thing. There was a little half wall here. And what we did is we took the half wall out and we put this column here. My husband and I are quite handy. We rehabbed a few houses. And if you were in on the rehab yesterday with Susan, when we were talking about it, again, we said, hey, you know what? We want to, again, this was a property that we were going to use as well. So you can see what we wanted to do is we wanted to put in more cabinet. The kitchen's kind of small, but we took out this arm here. We just put in flooring. We painted it. We did put in a new light fixture. Lighting is really, can really add that wow factor. So when you walk in, I'm just going to go back so you can see. So this is the front door here. So people walk in, because that's another little tip when you're getting your listings, getting the pictures, you should put the pictures in the order as how the person would see it. So from this angle, I would have had it from the other where they actually came in the front door. But for this presentation, I kind of wanted to show you guys what it looked like. And then again, we could have just rented this property the way it was. And the first year we could have done all that. So what we did is we just said, we're going to go ahead and renovate it. We're going to go ahead and we got new kitchen cabinets. And we, because these were really very old and small, and they were the tiny penny ones. And being at the lake for, all those years, they had kind of a little funk going on that I would have had to kiln them. So we decided to do that. So, but you can see my dining table here. So on this listing, we just put 6 that we could do 8, but we do 6. But you'll see my dining table, it has 4 chairs and then there's a bench under there, right? Which we can slide, which gives us more room. But that's kind of a nice combo because I can actually see, 3 or 4 people on this bench comfortably. So, but that's kind of a before and after. But again, the difference in the price for this to this is, $100 to $200 per night. So you can do the math to see, okay, does this make sense for me to renovate, to make more money, or should I just, I could have done the same thing. I could have gotten the same furniture, left everything the way it was, and this property would still have rented. But isn't this so much more appealing? And that's what you have to think about. I really wanted to attract guests to come into this house. Now here's another, so this is the angle when you come into the front door. You see, wow, okay, so for me, it was a wow factor, right? But you also can tell, okay, we have seating for people. I love blanket ladders. Blanket ladders, you know, you can usually pick them up for around $30 or $40 at any craft store, furniture store, you know, at home. I can't remember, you know, Walmart, you can get them everywhere. But you show seating. The blanket ladder just adds that. You'll see I don't have any pictures on the wall there, over there. I use my blanket ladder to add that little pop of color. The TV is mounted to the walls. We have a little bit of artwork, but not much. And then the curtains on the other side. This is just another angle of the dining room. And this picture I love because why? Because the feature on this house is the deck. And the deck is like humongous. It goes right out to the water. There's it has some steps down to it, and it goes out to a swim dock with a boat slip. So that's why we wanted to include that. But what I wanted to show you here was our coffee bar. Now this is me being, you know, DIY. So we just have Mr. Coffee. That's all we have. I'm a Mr. Coffee person. And then we have individual canisters here that have coffee, starter coffee, you know, they're sealed or whatever. But I picked, this actually came with the house. It was something that the seller had left. And so I just Mod Podged it. It's actually a little bit, it's kind of orangey red, you know, because I just wanted to say, hey, so I threw about, you know, maybe $5 worth of paint on this, cleaned up the knobs, and then that's my little coffee bar. And that's really the only place that we had it. I didn't really want it in the kitchen and then we have a welcome basket for our guests. But you can see, and here's my fake plant that I talked about. So, you know, just a little pop of color here. Okay, in bedrooms. So this is a bedroom that we staged, and in one of my favorite things, my husband, like I said, he made these end. So if you've priced furniture lately, you know that end tables cost a fortune. So my husband actually had some leftover lumber, and he made these nightstands. So these nightstands only cost us about $10, and then I painted them. The lamps, so the setup I like that I think makes bedrooms look cool, if you have the space, is we get luggage racks, because this room does not have a dresser, right? It has a luggage rack. We've got a couple nightstands, and the nightstands and the lamps actually have USB ports on them. That's always a nice feature. And then you can't tell here, but these are blackout blinds because people need to go to sleep. And they like it. And then we don't provide noise machines, but we do have the box fans that we keep them in the closet. So if they want that kind of, you know, whirring noise to go to sleep. And then I also want you to see how in the picture before I talked about the blanket ladders, but because we provide extra blankets, and then we just use them on the beds. And so some people, you know, it's really personal preference. You know, I put mine like that because I use all white. And then some people you'll see in their short-term rental listings, they'll have it across the bed. So again, personal preference. The thing is, you want to catch the eye, because this is all that this is advertising your property. This is what the guests see. So you have to, this is a professional picture or professional photograph. They turned in all the lights and everything because you want to show off your property in the best possible light. So we're talking about two things here about decorating and then also adding to the guest experience in terms of what do they get for the nightly rate. And then you'll see back here on this table, there's a little fake plant. Okay, so it just gives it that little pop. Now you can tell I'm a minimalist and I picked these up, I think at a thrift store or something, you know, just threw them up on the wall there. Now let's talk a little bit more about bed size matters, and people do search by not just the number of beds, but how many people can it sleep. So I put this in here because especially if you're ordering sheets, you know, like if you get a California king or one of those kings and they're, you know, they're deep or whatever, you have to know, you know, the size of the bed. So you can also use these dimensions to help you in planning out the space in any given bedroom. So we talked about, you know, trundle beds, we talked about sofa pullouts, and then you can determine, like when I said, if you have the space, to put in a California or to put in a king size bed to do that. And here's the dimension. So it makes it just so much easier for you when you're planning, what you want to put in your spaces. And then let's talk about sheets and pillows and things like that. So the recommendation that I'm giving you is that you should have 2 pillows per guest, right? So think about, and I just buy them, because these are things that I call them disposable. So you've got your king bed. If you have a king bed, then get king pillows, right? You don't want to have standard size pillows on a king size bed. On sheets, I have, when we first started out, I would order 3 sets of sheets for each bed. Now you can see here white. And again, personal preference, but I like white sheets. And you would think that they would be hard to clean and they actually wear, and I'll share this with you. I get my sheets at Walmart. These sheets that I use are from Walmart. They're really soft. And I have a funny story. I had a friend come when we first started, and when you first start listing your short-term rental, you want some feedback from your, family and friends. And of course they want to go stay at a nice place. So we invited a couple of our friends to go down to the property to spend the weekend, and you should also stay in your own property just to make sure everything works and look at it from a guest perspective. So anyway, she has a tendency to shop high end, not really a Walmart gal. And so she got up and she, and we happened to be there that weekend, and she said, "Oh my gosh, that bed was so comfortable, number one." And she goes, "Those sheets were so soft. Where did you get them at?" And I just cracked up and I said, "Well, they came from Walmart." So I love the Walmart sheets. And so in my favorite things list, I have, these sheets. I love them. I also have a 3rd set in the property in case of accidents. Now, what I will tell you, I think it's January is the month when sheets go on sale. And so for staging and when a guest arrives at a property, there's white sheets. But that 3rd set that I'll keep in a closet or a drawer, they can just be anything. If they've had an accident and they need to change the bedding, then I do have an extra set of sheets. They're not necessarily the white sheets. I just bought some sheets that are on sale so that they can use them. And another property, every now and then we have a set of, I got these really great, they're kind of a grayish color, but they were on sale, and I mean, they were like awesome sheets. The thread count was awesome. I couldn't pass them up because they were for a king size bed. And again, if you haven't priced this stuff, it gets kind of pricey. So I went ahead and bought them, and they're my extra set of sheets there. We also use mattress protectors, and I do get asked this quite a bit about protecting your mattresses. So when you pay for your mattresses, the next thing you're going to want to get is you want to get these, they're mattress protectors that they encase the entire, like basically it's a big zippered bag that the mattress goes into, and it's waterproof and bed bug proof, right? Because that's the last thing anybody wants to be dealing with. Or if there's any accidents on the bed, it's okay to get the sheets ruined, but not your mattress, because the sheets aren't, relatively speaking, are not that expensive. So these now I gave this presentation, they said, well, who likes a crunchy plastic bed? No. These are very nice. I mean, you have to kind of spend a little money on them. I think they're about, for a king size, they run about $55 to $60, but they're a very nice, almost nylon material, very smooth. They don't make that crinkly sound that you're talking about. They're just, kind of like a fabric, but they have a zipper. And so the whole mattress is encased in them. And then what I do is I put a mattress pad on top of that. So you even have that more cushiony or whatever. So number one, the mattress itself is protected. And then I also buy them for the pillows. Because again, people sweat and, it's kind of gross, but I want my pillows to last as long as possible. I don't spend a ton of money on my pillows, but I do want to make sure that they last as long as they can, because those mattress, it's the same kind of material. And I'm a person that I have to keep kind of cool when I sleep. And so they don't interfere with any of that. but they protect, they're waterproof and they're bed bug proof. And the other thing I'm going to say about bed bugs, and see in this picture, they have a fabric headboard. So I do not have a fabric headboard in any of my short-term rentals. So if you have the unfortunate incident of somebody bringing bed bugs into your property, this is what, the mattress is going to be protected. You're going to have to throw everything else away, but you don't want them attaching themselves to this fabric headboard. So we've used things like, I've used old doors that were from another property that we refurbished. I painted, we, nailed it to the wall. I've used lattice. We got pretty creative with creating headboards. Or if I buy a bedroom set, the frame and the headboard have to be not fabric. So, either wood or something like that. Something where, number one, think about this. We're going to talk about TVs, and that the question that we posted yesterday was about, hey, on the TVs. So I don't have TVs in too many of my bedrooms because, number one, I don't really want people eating in bed. I mean, because that's what people do. They eat in bed when they're watching TV. I'm guilty of it. So I really want to kind of have my guests kind of refrain from that. So I'm trying to minimize and think ahead. Okay, well, how can I minimize if somebody, bed bugs are a real thing. And if you get them, it's going to shut you down. You're going to have to, go through the whole, fumigation and all that. So I try to minimize, if I ever, knock on wood, haven't had that yet, but doesn't mean it won't happen. Now, quilts versus comforters versus duvets. And there's like Facebook posts just dedicated to this conversation. So I'm just going to tell you what I like to do. I use quilts. Again, I get them at Walmart. In the pictures that you saw, very clean looking, just, and they are easy to launder. The dry time, because, my cleaning company, but if you're doing it yourself, you might be, washing and drying all the linens there in your property, and it takes a long time for duvets and comforters. And I don't even know, some duvets you only can wash one at a time, or you might have to take them to the cleaners. So I like quilts because they wash up nice. They look nice on the beds. They're lightweight. And that's why we provide, extra blankets, but they're kind of that right, for the summertime, they're not too heavy. And in the wintertime, before it gets super cold, they're just a nice, what I want to say, the heaviness of them is not overwhelming. So, personal preference, you might be someone that likes the comforter look, or the duvet look. So really, and if you have an upscale luxury, like Susan was talking about her $1 million house yesterday, she's probably going to want to not get Walmart quilts, right, for her beds. I don't know, maybe she will, but they look nice. But, maybe the duvet and the comforter would be more suited for her property. So it's personal preference. There's not one that's better than the other. It's just about, in this case for me, it's the turn, who's doing the laundry, is it getting back and forth? And because my cleaning service takes them off site, then, for her, it's a lot less drying time. Extra blankets, can't go wrong with extra blankets. If we're in Texas and it's summertime, people like to have the AC down a little bit too low. And, some people get cold, or they need some extra blankets. So, buy them on sale, stock up, because you will end up having to replace them from time to time. So and you know what? I also, because I'm pet friendly, I have old blankets and old towels. They're clean, but I have a special shelf in one of the bathrooms that I say, hey, if Fido went outside and he, it was raining out and he's a little muddy, there's some blankets and old towels up there that you can use for that. And people really appreciate that. So in the bathroom, just really quick, you can see this is, again, the same property. What we did is this is a refurbished mirror I picked up. I just painted the frame. We bought this, I think at Home Depot or Lowe's. So you want to make sure that the bathroom looks clean, obviously. And the reason the shower curtain is open is just because, the photographer wanted it to be open, but normally it would be closed there. And I don't know if you can tell here, but these little hooks, so there is a bar towel right? But it's also nice to have these little hooks. I just got them off of Amazon. They're decorative, and then people can hang up their, if they brought a robe or extra, if 6 people are staying in this house and this is one of the bathrooms, so maybe, 2 or 4 people are sharing this, one towel rack's not going to cut it for the people that are wanting to hang up their used towels. Then we also get pumped containers. I think I have a picture. We'll talk a little bit about towels. Again, I'm all about the white towels. Think about it. When you go into a hotel room or a hotel, what color of towels do they provide? Now, I have been into some really upscale properties, and they have like maybe beige, but very rarely do you see colored towels or, it's white. And so it just kind of gives the illusion of cleanliness. And I will tell you, I buy my towels at Costco. I buy my towels, my hand towels and washcloths at Costco, and they hold up. And I haven't had to replace any yet. The stains come out, use a OxyClean or whatever. I just haven't had a problem with towels. And you can either, in one property, I have them rolled up because of the space. On another property, they're folded. So just, again, personal preference. Okay, for men, if you don't know about this, but women, get these into your short-term rental, because the thing that will ruin your white towels is me taking off my mascara and my face makeup. So we have these black makeup towels. I get these off of Amazon, and I also provide individually wrapped makeup wipes. And I do ask people, and if you display them, I don't know if you saw that in the bathrooms, let me go back. You'll see it's laying right here. So we always have them laying out, and then we'll have a few extra ones in the closet. And you can buy the ones that don't have the word makeup on them, but I think it's kind of a no-brainer when they see it. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm supposed to use this for my makeup. So I like them. They're black. I will say they probably don't hold up as well as the white towels because they fade. So that's something that I would kind of just caution you about in terms of, and buy these, because these go out of stock on Amazon. If you have a pool or a hot tub, providing beach towels. And when I message people about their upcoming stay, I say, hey, you know what, we provide beach towels and they are located, and I tell them where they are at in the property, and to say, please use these, not my white towels, right? Because especially the hot tub, it's outdoors. Well, so is the pool, but the hot tub, I could see them, throwing down the white towel on the ground and it getting really dirty and whatnot. So we say, please use these. And so again, no problems. You just communicate, right? So bathroom basics. Now, again, Facebook posts on and on and on about toilet paper and, how much should you provide? So, and, how should you do shampoo, conditioner, body wash? So what I did is I went on Etsy and I just bought these, pre-pump ones. I don't, I did look at the ones that attach to the wall, but then I saw, reviews where they fall off, or I don't know, they seem kind of hard to manage. So this, again, personal preference. So we do shampoo, conditioner, body wash. I even have another property where I bought clear ones because these get kind of pricey, and I bought smaller because the space was smaller. So these are probably about, I think, like 32 ounces. So they're like for the big shampoo or whatnot. But another property I have, it just is a small space. So I went and I just got the little tiny, I think they're like 6 inches. And then I got a waterproof pen and hand wrote shampoo and that kind of thing. Hair dryers and toilet paper. For goodness sakes, make sure you leave toilet paper out. When I see posts from hosts about, they want more toilet paper, we leave out 5 rolls in both bathrooms, so 10 rolls. Because you know what? I'm all on septic systems, and I want to make sure they're not flushing anything else down the toilet. So leave out extra paper. That's a very inexpensive item. And then I do have a drawer that I call extras. Sometimes you go on vacation, you forget your toothbrush, or, so if I'm at Target or, another Walmart or whatever, or dollar store, I'll just pick up a few toothbrushes and, those small containers of toothpaste. And I just have a drawer and I just put some things in there because you just never know. And I think I spelled the word feminine wrong. So sorry about that, gals, but you know what I'm talking about here, right? So, and then I've been talking this whole time about how we're pet friendly, and so these are some of the items that I provide in the property. And I can't tell you how guests really appreciate this. So there's, we have dog bowls. I have a mat. And so in my welcome book, I say, okay, this is where we feed our animals. We have a special place in the property. Not that they have to do it, but say, hey, you know what, under the window in the kitchen, by the fridge, that's where we feed the animals. So that's usually what happens. Because they don't know where you would want them to feed the animals. We have these doggy poop bags because we do have, and if you're going to do pet friendly, have an enclosed space for the dogs to do their business. So what we did is on one of our properties that didn't really have a fenced area, we went and purchased it's about 4 feet tall. It's almost like chicken wire. It's a little bit sturdier than that. And we got some metal stakes and we just made probably about an 8 by maybe 10 foot by 6 foot area that's off of our deck that people can go. So it's not fancy, but we also didn't want to block the view of the lake. So that's kind of another like an outside decorating tip. And then the dog pads for the furniture is a must. So you saw the furniture, and if people bring their pets or even their children, right? But these pads are really not, you can get them in different colors. In the first picture where I had the blanket ladder of the living room, there was actually a couple of those pet pads on there. And we just say, hey, use these to kind of protect our furniture, because like my dog gets up on the furniture, he sleeps in our bed. So we just want to make sure that if we're going to be pet friendly, to try and minimize damage to the property as far as dogs getting on there. And so far we have not had any incidences of, because people ask me about, well, do they mark their territory? And when my dog goes there, I think he smells, but we clean, and we haven't had any issue with him wanting to mark his territory because some other dog did. So we haven't had any issues with that. But I think, again, most people that travel with their pets, they're very, very typically responsible pet owners. We haven't had anybody, chew up anything. And I think it's because, again, we, talk to them. Now, I don't take cats. I did have somebody bring a hamster. They said it was going to be in a cage. So I was like, okay, because if it got out, we have wild animals and, wouldn't see that hamster again. So just some things when you think about decorating and when you think about stocking your short-term rental, think about the overall guest experience, because that's really what we're talking about. How can you make this property not only have the wow factor, but they are like, wow, they really thought of everything, right? It's almost like you're anticipating their need. So once you're getting up and going, you will want to go and, go stay at your property and just say, oh, okay, this is good. The coffee bar works here. It doesn't work here. We used our coffee pot and found out it didn't work. We're going to take it back. So you just want to make sure everything works for them. And a couple of things. So iron and ironing board. So at first I was like, I actually saw a post about this. I was like, who irons? I can't even remember the last time I ironed. Literally, I have had guests ask me, is there an iron and ironing board? Because especially if you're going to do corporate, target corporate people, you need to ask them about or provide an iron and ironing board. So I actually have had people ask me, do we provide an iron and ironing board? And then, of course, always do a broom and dustpan, because we don't put a vacuum cleaner there, but you want them to kind of clean up after themselves. Some things that just to have on hand, dishwasher soap, if you have a dishwasher, Windex, because if they have something that they need to clean, you want them to clean it up. You need to give them some cleaning supplies. We have washer and dryers in our property, but I don't want them coming to do their laundry. So I will leave like 3 or 4 pods out for them to, do a load of laundry or something like that. A few dryer sheets, trash bags, bug spray. If you have bugs, then you know what? Put some bug spray up in the cabinet, because the last thing you want is them calling you saying, hey, got bugs, so I say, hey, in our listing, it's like, we're we have a lot of ants, we do have pest service, but ants are ants. And I'm not talking about ants that come and visit you. I'm talking about those little ones that like to come out when there's food left out or something like that. Spot remover, we provide a starter set of foil and saran wrap. Bug broom. Okay, if you don't know what this is, a bug broom. So at the lake, or sometimes when your property, it's outside and you get spider webs and you get hornets nests. I mean, we've had quite a few wasp nests this year. So the pest control people, they do knock that down, but they don't knock down spider webs. So what we say is in between guests, I mean, every time we go there, we have to take it's a kind of like a angel shaped, if you will, broom. You get them at Home Depot, and that's what they're for, is to do spider webs. We have a string of lights that go across the deck, and so the spider webs will be up there. So we or they'll get on the patio furniture. So we just tell people, hey, we have pest control, but we provide a bug broom, and we hang it outside to let them know you can use that to knock off the spider webs or something like that. And then these are things that people have commented on that either we forgot or we didn't have enough of. So hand washing soap at the kitchen sink. So I had a lady, she's told me she was on the way to the grocery store. She's messaging me, where's the hand soap? And so we happened to be out. And so she had to pick some up. Food containers for leftovers. We actually do provide a little starter set of Tupperware or whatever, the Walmart version. And people love that because if they're cooking and they like to have leftovers, they love the idea that you can, they can save they don't have to throw it out. Pizza pans. I mean, this is a biggie. We actually go through pizza pans. People use pizza pans all the time. The lighter for the barbecue grill. So it's hilarious. So we do provide Weber. We don't do propane. We do Weber with a starter supply of charcoal and lighter fluid. But on one of our properties, we forgot to leave. We actually had it, but we forgot to leave the lighter. So they had to, they had already gone to the store. I felt bad for them. So wine openers, make sure you have a wine opener there. A crock pot. I mean, this is something I don't use a lot of, but have a crock pot. And pie pans, because we had people staying over Thanksgiving and they wanted a crock pot and pie pans. Unfortunately, we already had those in the property. So these are just things that you might not think about, but you should, for a fully stocked kitchen, and I didn't even go into all those kinds of stuff. So, all right, guys, well, we're at the end of second day. And I wanted to say, if you have really enjoyed what you are learning, first of all, did you put an aha from what we learned yesterday? What was that one thing that you learned yesterday? But I wanted to let you know two things. One, if you're liking the information, I have some online courses that normally go for like $4.97 each and it goes into all the details that I've been talking about over the last couple of days. You can do both of them or one of them, but if you do both of them, the price is like $3.97. So we're having like a special offer for our challenge attendees. If that's something that you're interested in, it'll be for a short amount of time. So go ahead and make sure that you let me know that that's something that you're interested in. I also offer, consultations. If you have a property that you need help with, I can help you with that. We have actually a kickstart coaching program that you can also get in on. And then what I want to tell you now, we have the Inspire conference coming up. Now, guys, this is focused on ladies. However, we decided that we would add a package for men where you can go fishing, or we'll have some excursions for the men. But basically, we're going to go over not just about short-term rentals, but the BRRRR strategy, about owner financing. This is a great way for people to network. We're going to have personal goal sessions, learn the ins and outs of hiring and using virtual assistants in your real estate business. It's a Friday and Saturday, and we're having a special dinner and closing ceremony at one of my short-term rentals. And this conference is where you're going to get the tools, the processes, and strategies to be a successful real estate investor. So if this is something that you are interested in, email me because we are having early bird pricing for $9.95, and we would love to see you. The speakers that I'm having this week, we've got Susan, you're going to meet Kristen here in a minute, and then Jerry Lee. We are the 4 gals that are putting this on, and we have a very special keynote speaker joining us. Her name's Abby, and she has a wonderful, wonderful story. She's been on The Biggest Loser. She's very motivational. So if that's something that, or hey guys, if you want to get your wife a nice present, you know, I know we've already missed Mother's Day, but if her birthday's coming up and you want her to get in on this, and then we're going to set you up with your own excursion, let us know. Email me at Nancy@winningdealsandheels. And then to close out today, all right, so here's what your homework is for the day. Number 1, what's your target audience? You know, when we went through yesterday, who's your target audience? What's the one thing you would add to your short-term rental to attract that target audience, that guest? You know, is it going to be corporate? Is it going to be families? Is it going to be couples? Is it going to be traveling nurses? You know, who do you think that you would want as a guest? And what's that one thing? What's the laha? How about the aha that you used, that you learned today that you can implement in a short-term rental business? So I want you to kind of think about that. So, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about how to keep your listing at the top of a guest search, because you know what? All the decorating and the nice things that you put in your short-term rental won't mean anything if you don't get bookings. So you've got to know how you can get bookings and how you can stay at the top of the guest. The guest is searching and they search on these platforms. And how do you rise above the traffic? I gave a tip yesterday when Susan was on about one tip of how to kind of beat the algorithm, if you were. And then we're going to also go over how to vet guests, because that's the other thing. So you can have this beautiful property, but there are certain steps you need to take to make sure you don't get scammed by a guest and have somebody get into your property and not leave. You know, that does happen. It's just, we don't talk about it a lot. So anyway, we're going to sign off for now. And I will see you all in about 15 minutes. If you have any questions, make sure that you put them in the chat and we will address them tomorrow. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Nancy.
All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.